Today we're going to show you how to make a 4-layered Bavarian dessert without any dairy products. So don't go away, we'll be right back. Hello, my name is Trishonna, and these are my sisters Audrey and Emberly, and we're the Benton Sisters. Today I want to share with you the golden rule for good health. According to Dr. Douglas Graham, he says the golden rule for good health, whenever you sit down to eat, you want to keep in mind that thou shalt not poison thyself. In other words, you don't want to eat food that will make you feel sick or give you problems. Yet today we see 8 out of 10 people are suffering from chronic indigestion. More people than ever are going to the doctor and complaining with chronic indigestion, and the #1 over-the-counter remedy is given as an indigestion remedy. This is a problem increasing in America, and is soon to be the greatest cancer that is growing is colon cancer. Now, I don't believe that 80% of the population are born with bad stomachs, but I think what is happening is that we are doing bad things to our stomachs. So what can we do to reverse this problem? The answer is to eat more simply. Food as grown. Eat foods that are not toxic and that will build your strength and give you more energy and endurance. There was an article written in Newsweek magazine, April 25, 1994, which I want to read a quote from it. It says, quoting, "Almost every one of the steps along the pathway leading to cancer, there are one or more compounds in vegetables and fruits that will slow up and reverse the problem," end of quote. So that's good news. And I also want to share with you the 10 golden rules for a good, healthy diet. #1, you want to remember in this golden rule for a healthy diet is to avoid refined sugars. #2, you want to avoid visible fats and oils. #3, avoid eating foods that contain cholesterol. #4, avoid alcohol, tobacco, and caffeinated drinks. 5, you want to freely use a variety of tubers and legumes, that's your beans and yams. #6, eat whole grain products. #7, freely use fruits and vegetables. 8, severely limit salt. 9, drink plenty of water, and 10, eat a good breakfast daily. So those are our 10 golden rules for a healthy diet. And today we want to get right in and start making our 4-layered Bavarian dessert. What's the first thing that we do, Emberly?
Well, we're going to make the cheesecake, which is the filling for the Bavarian dessert. And I'll show you with the ingredients for this, which is 3 tablespoons of Ames kosher gel, 1 can of frozen pineapple juice concentrate, 1/4 cup of frozen orange juice concentrate, 1/3 cup of honey rounded, 1/2 cup of cashews, 2 packages of firm morning new tofu, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 1/2 teaspoon of lemon juice, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 1 can of coconut milk. Okay, first we're going to add our cashews to the blender. And I'm having this kettle our orange concentrate, which I'm going to heat up and bring it to a boil. And then I'll add our Ames gelatin. And we'll add our pineapple concentrate. And let's add some vanilla and lemon juice. And I'll measure out the honey.
I noticed it said on the ingredients list that it was rounded. What does that mean?
Okay, it's like 1/3 cup that's heaping, kind of like overflowing a little.
Okay, so it's just a little bit more than 1/3 cup.
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay. We'll just scoop this out.
How much lemon juice was it?
1/2 teaspoon.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just let you blend that while we're waiting for this to come to a boil in the kettle. Okay, you'll want to blend this a lot longer than what we've showed you here. You want to blend it for a minute, and you want it to be satiny smooth. Now we'll add our mixture here that was on the stove. This is our concentrate and our Ames gelatin, which we brought to a boil so that way the Ames will activate. And then Audrey will add some more new tofu. And this tofu is extra firm. It's firm tofu, and it's wonderful for desserts and salad dressings, and it's silken tofu, and it gives a really nice creamy texture.
Also, you don't have to worry about refrigerating it. You can keep it in your pantry right there on the shelf until whenever you need it, because it doesn't have to be refrigerated. It's sealed. And so this is really good. It also has a very mild flavor, so you don't have to worry about having that tofu flavor that is left behind in some of the other brands of tofu. Okay, are we ready to blend now?
Okay, we'll add part of this coconut milk.
There's also different brands of coconut milk, and some of them have more fat in them than others. So if you are concerned about getting too much fat in your coconut milk, you can get one that's less in fat. Also, you can dilute it yourself with some non-dairy milk and do half and half instead of the whole thing if you feel that a preference. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So you just stick that in a pan to let it set up in the refrigerator, just like you would Jell-O. You might want to take however long it takes Jell-O to set up, and then when it's done, you'll just whip it, right?
Yeah, but what we have here is we have a pre-made cake here for the crust of the Bavarian dessert, and which we already showed you on one of our...
Is this a brownie cake? Mm-hmm. Made from the Benton Sisters cookbook?
Yes.
And we showed this already on a previous program.
Right.
Okay, so you pour this cheesecake mixture...
Right over the brownie crust.
Okay.
Cake crust, or... And then we'll just... Here, I'll let you finish pouring that over.
Let that set up in the...
And I'm going to make the raspberry...
Now, do you put all this in here?
Yes, go ahead.
All right.
What I'm making is I'm going to make the raspberry marble, which we'll marble in the cheesecake. And so we have our concentrate, raspberry concentrate in there. And we're going to add our cornstarch. It calls for 3 tablespoons of cornstarch.
So this, you can use a concentrate in place of using sugar for your sweetener for this raspberry marble, right?
Uh-huh.
That's good.
And then we'll just blend it.
If you wanted a different type of fruit for sweetener, you could use like blueberries for marbling or anything like that. Cherries maybe, or so it can be really versatile.
Yes. So I'll just turn it on and whiz it real quick. And then we'll just thicken it up on the stove.
So what was the purpose of whizzing the cornstarch with the concentrate? Was that just a really quick, easy way to mix the concentrate and the cornstarch together without lumps?
Uh-huh. So we'll just, yeah.
Okay, while they're thickening that up on the stove, I want to share with you about the snowbird diet according to Dr. Donald Robinson. He says, quoting, metabolizing 100 calories of carbohydrates may burn up 300 calories. But metabolizing the same amount of calories in empty carbohydrates may require 300 calories. So no wonder why empty calories seem to turn into fat on our diet, because it takes less energy to burn up that food. And what you just saw here was a wonderful dessert which are loaded with nutrition and no empty calories. And you probably are wondering, but what about that coconut milk? I know my doctor says I should not even touch coconut. Coconut's bad, it's saturated, and I shouldn't even use it. Well, if you are a heart patient or are fighting high cholesterol, that would be a problem, and you might want to be aware of that and use a less fat coconut milk. But if you don't have any animal products in your diet and you stay away from refined concentrated oils, then a small amount of the natural fat in the food is not going to harm your body. And so you can feel free to eat and enjoy these wonderful desserts without feeling guilty for having all the extra added fat that you don't need.
Okay, what I'm going to add here is I'm going to add part of the bag of raspberries to it as it thickens up, and then I'm going to reserve some of it and add some more later. So we'll just let it thicken up here. Now we'd like to share with you our egg salad sandwich recipe.
While we're waiting for that to all set up?
Uh-huh.
Oh, egg salad sandwich without any eggs?
Uh-huh.
Is that possible?
Oh, this is such a fun recipe.
Well, what is the ingredients for this recipe?
Okay. This is the dressing, which is 1/4 cup of water, 4 tablespoons of lemon juice, 4 tablespoons of McKay's chicken seasoning, 5 tablespoons of nutritional food yeast, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 package of firm morning tofu, which you pour over 3 packages of firm morning tofu, big chunks, 1/4 cup of celery diced, 1/4 cup of onions diced, 1/4 cup of olives sliced, 1/4 cup of red bell peppers diced, and we also have 1/4 cup of pickles diced, lemon packed, no vinegar, 1/4 cup of fresh parsley sprigs minced.
Okay, what's first?
Okay, we'll just go ahead and add our morning tofu to the blender along with our water. And we'll add our lemon juice.
Now, how much water was that?
1/4 cup. Here, I'll let you add the lemon juice. And our chicken seasoning. And our food yeast. Garlic powder. And then we'll just blend that until it's smooth. 4 tablespoons. Did you get 4 tablespoons in?
I got only 1.
Okay.
Okay, let's blend it.
Okay, that looks good. Now we're just going to mince up our vegetables here for that, and I'll let you add the tofu.
This is a great recipe if you love egg salad sandwiches, because you don't have to worry about having cholesterol from the eggs in this recipe. When you use the tofu in this certain way that we are making it here, it turns out really good, and it even is yellow, and you don't have to worry about having all the extra cholesterol in it, because cholesterol in your diet is what causes the main problem with heart disease, congestive heart failure, and all the other problems that America is suffering with. In fact, our grandfather had congestive heart failure, and when he was released from the hospital, we brought him home and put him on our healthy diet. And after 4 weeks, he lost 18 pounds, and that was according to the hospital scale records. He ate good too, and he said he had no skimpy meals. He ate as much as he wanted, and because of his condition, we cut the nuts, the quantity of the nuts in our recipes in half, which you may want to do if you have high cholesterol that you're trying to lower, or are overweight, or suffering from congestive heart failure, or have a heart problem. And you can feel confident that you are on a good diet when you eat a lot of the fruits, nuts, grains, and vegetables. And I want to share with you this, it's kind of like a plan that you want to follow when you eat the foods that are natural for you. This is our pyramid for a healthy lifestyle. And the bottom is where you want to start. This is the most that you want to eat of, is the fruits, and this is where you get your energy, and fruit is the #1 source of vitamins. Now, vegetable is your #1 source of minerals, and so you want your diet to be mostly of fruits and vegetables. The majority of your diet should be consistent of this. Now, whole grains and legumes is next. This is where you get your protein. I would say that this is your energy-packed food, and so that will be next on your list of eating. Then the last sparingly is your nuts and seeds. This is where you get your fat, and we don't recommend having oil in your diet or any dairy products because this is what causes Americans health problems. And so if you stick to this diet and this health plan, you should be doing just fine. What are you doing now with the tofu?
Okay, I'm just chopping it into big chunks. You don't want to chop it in too small chunks because then when you add your sauce to it, it'll be so small of chunks that it won't look like eggs.
And Audrey, you're cutting up the parsley and the celery and olives.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add the sauce to that.
Okay. So does that taste like eggs?
Oh, it tastes wonderful to me.
It's a good replacer, isn't it? You know, our father doesn't like scrambled eggs. He doesn't like eggs at all. And we have a wonderful scrambled tofu recipe in our cookbook as well. And because he doesn't like eggs, he won't eat it because he says it's too much like the real thing for him. And so if it's too much like the real thing for Daddy, it's got to be really good.
Okay, and then we'll add some bell pepper for color.
It definitely looks yellow.
And then when we get all our veggies in, then we'll just stir it up, and you just want to stir it once, less as possible, so that way you'll still have your nice chunks.
Adding bell pepper. I heard that bell pepper is even high in vitamin C. It's kind of hard to
Ooh,
imagine,
wow.
isn't it?
Huh.
Because it's not sour like lemons are sour, but someone said that they are high in vitamin C, so that's good to know that. When you eat the fruits and vegetables as they are naturally, with all the nutrients in there, and you don't want to cook all your vegetables or fruit because that takes the nutrients away and kills the enzymes in them also. It's best to eat them in their natural state because they're just perfect the way God has made them. Now there are things that you have to cook in order to eat them, and that's like your grains. And in fact, the best way to do beans, if you want to make a pot of beans, is to soak your beans overnight, then drain off the water the next day, and then start them to cook. That way they won't be toxic and they won't make them so they're gassy. So that's a nice way to do your legumes.
Ooh, our bowl's getting quite full. We'll just stir this up.
Okay. Do we have any bread to put this egg salad on?
Oh yeah, Audrey, go get the spinach cheese twist
All right.
that we made earlier from our cookbook.
Oh boy, that is beautiful. How did you make that?
Oh, you just roll it out and put cheese and spinach and other delicious ingredients.
Is this recipe is also in the cookbook, right?
Yes.
In our Benton Sister cookbook?
Uh-huh.
And you just braided it or did you just twist it?
We just twisted it.
And it has the non-dairy cheese from the cookbook as well in it?
Uh-huh. And we'll just cut this right here. And Audrey, go and check and see how the cheesecake is doing.
Okay.
We'll get a nice slice and we'll put some of our delicious egg salad sandwich spread on here.
That looks really good. So, how is the cheesecake doing, Audrey?
It looks like it's all ready for to get marbled.
Okay, let's go ahead and take care of that.
Has the berries been thickened and cooled now?
Uh-huh.
Now, you don't want to put them on when it's hot, right?
Yes, and then we'll add the rest of these berries to it and stir it in.
And that's the amount that you reserved.
Uh-huh. And then we'll put some of it on here.
Now, what was the purpose for reserving that little amount? Was it so...
So you could have big chunks of berries and you won't have all of it. See, they'll melt and then they'll kind of like dissolve and
fall
blend
apart?
in.
Okay, and lose their shape.
Yes.
So that helps to keep some with still intact of a berry shape.
How long does this have to be really firm when you do it, the cheesecake?
Yes,
or?
it has to be halfway set up.
Okay.
So I can see that it's not all the way hard like Jell-O, but it's a little bit like almost like pudding texture now.
Yes.
Will it get harder than this
Oh, yes. Hard enough to cut, to slice.
and still hold together? Okay, so halfway between setting up is when you put the marbling of the berries on it.
And then we'll put whipping cream on top of this from our cookbook.
Oh, that looks pretty. I like the contrast of that bright color and the kind of a cream yellowish from the cheesecake.
And then we'll get the whipping cream and put it on top. Doesn't that look good?
So now, do you put it back in the refrigerator to finish setting up the rest of the way?
Yes.
Okay. All right, while Audrey's putting that in the refrigerator, the next recipe we want to show you is called I Want to Be a Baked Alaska. And this is the ingredients that we need for it. 1.5 cups of cashews, 3 cups of boiling water, 3 tablespoons of Eames kosher gel, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 3 packages of firm morinu tofu, 3 cans of coconut milk. Also, you'll want 1.5 tablespoons of vanilla, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 cup of honey, and you want light, mild honey, 1/2 cup of maple syrup, and 1.5 cup of carob chips. Then you'll want 1 batch of the brownie cake and leave out the nuts, and then 1 batch of the whipped cream from the cookbook.
Here we have our brownie cake that we demonstrated for you in the previous program and our whipping cream from the Benton Sisters cookbook. And we have our ice cream already up in this pan, and we're going to just dump it out onto this pan. And we're going to slide it out onto this right here. So the small side onto the small side of the brownie cake, since one side's top's bigger than the bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and frost it. And I'm just smooth whipping cream all over the top and on the sides.
While she's frosting that, I want to share with you something about calcium. Dr. Frank Oski, author of his book entitled Don't Drink Your Milk, says, quoting, "The lack of relationship between the calcium in your diet and the amount that ultimately gets into your blood and then into your bones and teeth can be best illustrated by the comparison that have been made between infants drinking cow's milk versus human milk. Cow's milk contains 1,200 milligrams of calcium per quart, while human milk contains 300 milligrams of calcium per quart. Yet despite the difference, the infant receiving human milk actually absorbs more calcium into his body," end of quote. And the reason has to do with the phosphorus content. The phosphorus in the cow's milk comes in a much higher proportion than it does in human milk. The ratio of calcium to phosphorus in cow's milk is 1.2 calcium over 1.0 phosphorus, where the human milk ratio is greater than 2 to 1. And phosphorus can combine with calcium in intestinal tract, preventing the absorption of calcium. Also, the protein in the cow's milk causes a acid condition, which takes calcium to make it alkaline, and so calcium from our body is used to neutralize that acid condition, which also uses up calcium. So cow's milk is not an ideal source of calcium for our diet, and so you can be encouraged to know that you can get the best amount of calcium from the green leafy vegetables. This is the #1 source. Also, almonds are very high in calcium. That sure looks good. And you've got your baked Alaska covered there, and now you're doing the Bavarian dessert through a cake decorator. Is that the frosting that you're putting on there also? Or the whipped cream actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's dairy-free and sugar-free.
What is the real reason for being healthy or following health principles and having a good diet? A lot of people say, why should I? If I eat healthy, I may get cancer anyways. But Audrey, what do you have to say about that?
Well, whatever you do, whatever you drink, or whatever you eat, do it all to the glory of God.
That's right. And Emberly, do you have a purpose for obeying the health laws?
Yes, the purpose is to secure healthy minds, to discern the perfect will of God.
That's right, because when we eat foods as God has made, we put ourselves in His care, and He can protect us through the foods that we eat and help us to have healthier lifestyles. It's so good to know that by eating the food He has given us, we can feel good and look good and don't have to suffer from the typical American diseases.
Yes, just like a dieter's dream come true.
I mean, could you imagine? Look at this. You never dreamed that you could have a healthy baked Alaska without any dairy products in it. And who would ever imagine that you could have a cheesecake without any cheese? And you can even have egg salad sandwich. Make it in your own kitchen, cholesterol-free. It's exciting to learn how to make these new recipes, so God bless you in your healthy lifestyle.